All right. Now, like with everybody else, I never jump right into the interview because you're super conscious that you're being interviewed. So, icebreaker question real quick. Top 3 artists that inspired you.
Currency. T.I.
All right.
Lil Wayne.
Size, I can respect that. I fucks with Currency ever since what was it? This way back in the squad days.
Right.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That's just the name 3. No, it's a lot.
Let me put more pressure on you. If all rap was about to be erased from the history of the world, but you could save 3 artists' body of work, their discography is entire. Who would you pick?
You said how many artists?
3. Only 3. You know what? Because I'll say 5. Because 3 is hard to do. 3 is hard to do.
Nah, 3 is a safe number. Outkast off top.
Okay.
Outkast off top. I want to say Lupe Fiasco. A couple of projects in there that I can do with that.
Like what? Which? I get into this debate all the time.
Lasers was cool.
Yeah, I feel like Lasers was
crazy about Lasers though, because that was like that period when he was starting to
transition.
Let's call a spade a spade. He was going through a life crisis.
He was.
And it was
showing.
It's very identifiable.
Right. I feel like the Cool though, it was his opus. I feel like if any really resonated with me, the Cool was definitely it.
The Cool is dope, man, but I still have to give it the Food and Milk.
Oh, I knew you was going to say that. That's the debate I get every time.
It's his best project.
Arguably.
It's solid, completely.
Start to finish.
Through. I can listen to Food and Liquor to this day.
Yeah, still
from the
do.
Beginning of it to the end. And I skipped one song in that entire project. With the Cool, there's a few songs that I can do without.
What?
But the songs that I champion from the Cool, some of the dopest shit I ever heard in my life.
Yeah, right.
He just had a few. And it's not like I necessarily think that they were bad or weak. It was just like they weren't necessarily my cup of tea.
Okay, I can respect that.
It wasn't my taste. I can see that's when he started, to try to experiment into it different. Like he was trying to reach people. So a couple of those songs were not necessarily put there to reach me. They were designed for a certain person.
You're right. I wasn't feeling Superstar. Oh, he's fine.
Superstar cool. But I can see why a person wouldn't care for the song Superstar that much, because it was commercially designed.
Yes, it was.
It's commercially designed. Even though his lyricism and his screenplay through the song was completely cohesive and it's a story now.
Right.
By design, it was made to be marketable to a certain crowd.
Right. He had to pay the bills. That was like the commercial break of the album.
Right. I feel like that about Paris Tokyo too.
Yes, that's a good one.
That was also a very commercialized ass song. But Paris and Tokyo just, it's so dope, man.
It is.
It's so dope. I still get the exact same feeling from it since the day that song was released.
I think I got a tie for my favorite songs on there, and it's a 3-way tie. It's Gold Chain, The Die, and Let Me Put You On Game.
Gold Chain, you mean Gold Watch?
Gold Watch, my bad.
Gold Watch, The Cool, and I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Go Gadget Flow.
Number 3. Yeah, how could I forget that one? Yeah.
Honorable mention, Dumb It Down.
Yes, Jim snapped on that to back him up.
Completely went over people's heads. They
did.
couldn't even keep up with what he was saying. I had to listen to that song like 15 times before his wordplay actually stuck and clicked. Because every time I was listening to it before that, it was moving through his play so fast, it was hard for me to dissect. So I had to sit with it and digest it for a while.
That's how I had to do with The Die, because I didn't understand the narrative of the story. Yeah. The homie in the car reciting everything that was told him to the hitman that's going to kill him at the end of the song. I'm like, why is he repeating? And then I listened to I think it was like after the 4th or 5th time, I was like, Okay, the guy who's talking at the end was the hitter. Okay.
Right.
So
another song that he got that's like that is the Emperor soundtrack. Not the Emperor soundtrack, but damn, I can't think of the name of the song. The one with I know it. I know the name of the song. It's from Food and Liquor. The one where he's like he never lies. The dude in the box. And he afraid to come out of the box.
Oh crap. Golly, if I wasn't recording you, I'd be able to tell you off rip.
I think it's called an instrumental.
Yes, that's it.
That's the name.
That's it.
Yeah, that song kind of pulls up and chipped at me like that for a long time too.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a long while before I actually just sunk in all the way with it and fully understood it. Like I could pick up on it a little bit, but it was still the pieces that weren't quite connecting to me.
Right.
And then eventually I got to that point where it was like, okay, this is a sheep.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say if we're talking about Food and Liquor, American Terrorist.
Oh yeah.
That was nuts.
Oh, yeah. That's
that
real.
Was absolute. I wish a video was produced for that track. Right. I absolutely wish.
American Terrorist was too real.
Golly. And then what's his name? This guy singing the hook. Because he came back and did a track for him on Lasers. Shining Down. It was the same cat. It's
Matthews,
like Santos. Yeah. Both of them is like, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is about him spitting and him singing. It just works.
Yeah, they got that vibe.
Yeah, their chemistry is dope.
Like they got a long relationship with each other.
Yeah, it seemed like they knew each other before they did the track, because sometimes when you hear artists collab, it just sounds like a collab, but they both match each other's passion.
Yeah.
Even though Lupe's rapping and Mark is singing,
like
it sounds
that understanding of consciousness is up.
Right. Man, all right. My bad. I didn't mean to linger on those. Who were your other artists?
Who did I say?
Outkast, Lupe.
And for the third,
Pressure.
UGK.
Let me shake your hand, sir. Let me shake your hand, sir. When it comes to storytelling, the very first UGK song I heard as a kid was One Day. And I remember being like, I think I was like 6. And I heard Pimp C say, you can ask me, I ain't no liar. My man Bobo just lost his baby in a house fire.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me so hard. I was like, ooh.
See, the first UGK song that I ever heard, I was super young at the time. Mm-hmm. Was Pocket Full of Stones, actually.
Ooh, all right. That's a classic.
I still remember that feeling I got from that exact same time. I knew exactly what they were talking about. It's crazy to me, bro. When I think about that, even as a child, listening to the music that, my elders were listening to under us, it didn't take me long to catch on to anything that was being. I don't know. I just kind of pick up on context and words like that.
Yeah, I think it has to do with your upbringing. I think I think certain types of people get music on a different level. I'm more of a thinker type. I'll sit back and absorb. And that's in all media. I'll absorb movies.
That's the crazy thing about it to me, though, man. I didn't grow up in a household to where it was like, my household did have its issues. Like, I grew up under an abusive mama and a missing daddy. Like, he was in the picture, but he wasn't in the picture. Mm-hmm. And mama was crazy. So she took all of her craziness out on us as the children. She used to fight with my grandparents all the time. All I ever used to see her do was fight with her friends and her husbands, things like that. But like in the context of some gangster shit or like some drug dealer shit, early ages, I never got to see any of that. Like none of that had ever became a visible thing to me until like my adolescent years.
Okay.
But I don't know. It clicked. It picked up on me. I remember all them stories, like on the Notorious B.I.G. album, Life After Death. I knew that whole album like the back of my hand at 7 years old.
Wow. That's
the
crazy.
Matter of fact, that album came out in '98.
It did.
I was 10.
It was after he
the
passed.
entire album from front to back.
Pac died in 96. Right. Pac died in 96. He died in 97. And then it came out in 98. Right. She right?
Most of the Pac albums, same thing.
Yeah. Same here.
It was disturbing to me as a child knowing that I was picking up on what was being said in that. Because I was like, I used to think to myself, like, ain't this something we not supposed to be hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we supposed to be kids and stay in a child's place.
But
it was
that's art, though. You know, I get where you're coming from. I was the same way with a lot of my childhood came from like that dirty South rap, No Limit. I had several tapes. Like back then, you know, you buy a No Limit tape, you fold it out and it show you all the albums that's coming out.
My mom, my aunt, and my uncle had every No Limit album
that
came out.
Mia X, Mr. Servon, Cain and Abel, Mercedes, God, True. I'm talking Skullduggery, Young Bleed, man.
I still play that Young Bleed to this day.
Oh man,
that'll never get old.
No, he was ahead of his time too.
Never get old.
Right.
He got old. That album, that still got replay value right now. Right. It's still relevant.
Like when people talking about moguls who had the most impact on me, a lot of people say, you know, my generation say like Diddy. I give it to P. P, to me, being self-financed, doing everything himself, and then creating a lane for other people to do their own thing.
See, that's kind of my standpoint in my own career right now.
Really?
I paid attention to all of that too as a kid. Like, I used to imitate Master P when I was a little boy. I didn't even know how to rap. I just knew what a rap song sounded like, and I knew how well it was put together. So I used to imitate Master P and created my own little record label in my mind, and I called it No Limit Jr. And I was Master P, and I used to assign different roles to people that I knew in my life, and designate them as artists from No Limit.
That makes sense. I mean,
and the mentality just kind of stuck with me. I'm like that about everything, though. I always have like this master design plan or idea for some kind of scheme. Let's just call it a scheme.
Right.
I always had these, these brainstorms and shit. People look at me like I'm crazy. I done got to this point now, like the way I realized that it's ambition and it's my creativity flowing. Right. But I didn't understand it back then. I just kind of figured it was like, just me being a kid. And it got to a point where I was like 14, where I wrote my first rap. I had this one homeboy named Dante, used to stay right up the block from me down the bay. And he was a rapping ass motherfucker. I'm talking about rap his ass off. We 9 and 10 years old, he rapping his ass off. This man sound like he was already signed to somebody's record label then. And every day, never fail. We could just be sitting on the bus, we'd be sitting in the yard, we'd be in the middle of a basketball game, whatever. He'll just come off the top of his head and just say anything. And it always sounded good every time. And eventually I just got to this point where, because he was already poking and prodding at me to, play along with him. And I didn't really, take the initiative to do it, because I wasn't never really that outgoing person to just put himself out there like that. I always kind of been
introverted.
Right. I still am to this day. It's just, but I'm gonna explain that part to you in a little bit. Yeah. But eventually I got to this point the way it was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to write a real rap. And I sat down one night and I wrote a verse. And I read that same verse back to myself like 10 times.
Right.
I was like, it looked like something. It looked like a rap. I took it to school the next day. Let a couple of people read it. They was like, you wrote this? I was like, yeah. He was like, damn, or you can actually rap. I was like, you like it? He's like, yeah. So from that day forward, I just kept on writing stuff down. Eventually, I showed it to Dante. But he was kind of illiterate at the time.
Oh, man.
Now he just,
Hey.
He on that hood rat shit.
Right.
I was the smart kid.
Right.
In my house. So they, I wasn't on that type of time with them boys. So he got me to read it to him one day. And he was blowed out his motherfucking mind. He was like, damn, you really wrote that? So now he started going harder behind himself because I done demonstrated that to him. Now he want to sit down and start writing stuff down with me because he never wrote a rap before. He just was always flowing and freestyling off the top of his head. So when he actually saw me demonstrate the format of writing a song, he started doing it. I used to play with cassette tapes a lot. I used to like recording music. I remember I told you I used to have a little imaginary record label in my head.
Right.
Eventually I started on recording us on cassette tapes. So we started fucking around with that, playing with it, listening to it and studying it and stuff. And I think it was like at 15, I downloaded a recording program on my desktop computer at the house. And just started downloading instrumentals like LimeWire and Belshane and shit.
Man.
And I just started recording all my raps. And one day I ended up with a whole mixtape. Dante had disappeared. DHR had took him and his baby brother from their grandma. She had got up into age where, you know, she wasn't really fit to keep up with them and take care of them because they were running wild in the neighborhood. So they got taken and put into a foster home. But they let him come back to visit his grandma for like 2 weeks. In that second week, that's when I showed him the songs that I had been recording. Nobody knew that I was doing this except for my sister. Cause she'll walk out of her bedroom, our rooms was right across from each other. So she'll see me fucking around doing what I'm doing. She used to look at it like it was a joke. My sister ain't never really been the most supportive person to me. She always looked at me like I'm the lame kid and shit. So she ain't think nothing of it. But then he came through and I showed him the few songs that I had. And he was like, man, turn the studio on. Me and him sat there for that week and recorded like 12 more tracks. So I had like 30 tracks.
God.
And stuck all of it on one mixtape. Only 6 people ever got to hear that mixtape. Cause I ended up losing it cause my desktop crashed.
No.
Lost all of it. Now I had a homegirl who stayed up the street from me. Her brother wanted to rap too. I was modest about it. He was real deal trying to be the rapper though. And he caught on to what I was doing. Cause his sister told him, cause she was one of these few people who actually heard that mixtape. He went and bought Fruity Loops. I think this was like Fruity Loops 7 at the time. He went and bought it, and he brought it to me. It was like install this like on their computer at their house. So you like install this and figure it out, and we can start making songs in here. I was like, bet. Sat down with it for like a month. Learned the format, learned how to put stuff together. I started producing then. Started recording stuff on their computer. Next thing I know, another mixtape. Another mixtape. Another mixtape. I was just constantly recording myself and just studying myself. I was afraid, you know, to like put it out there into the world because I wasn't that confident in myself still. Even though everybody who was hearing me around me was telling me how good it was, I was still like, nah, this ain't good enough. It wasn't good enough though. Because compared to where I am now, nah, that was me fucking around back then. But that's where it started from. And it just kept on going. I forget the point of me telling you all of this, but
no, go for it.
That's kind of my humble beginnings though. I just started out, you know, recording myself in the confines of a room. Only a few people at a time was actually hearing and knowing what was going on. Slowly but surely, they started taking the songs from the computer and started taking it to other people I wasn't even knowing. They was just showing it to people. So now folks in the neighborhood started coming back to me like, oh, I heard that little tape you did. What tape? What you talking about? And it just started bubbling from there. Now people want to freestyle with me on the corners and shit. I'm kicking shit with them. I'm blowing their head off. I ain't thinking nothing there, cause this just something that I just do to myself in my own time. But now I start realizing the reaction that I'm getting from them, because none of these guys, they be playing with it, but they ain't not no rappers for real. So for me to actually be demonstrating like real rap skills, that was something to them. So that motivated me to keep going. I was like, you know what, if I can keep doing this, I can eventually be what I want to be. Because I knew how good I could be, I just knew I wasn't there at the time. So it took me a long ass time before I finally just got into that groove the way I was like, you know what, I'm ready for the world. That honestly, that wasn't until maybe like 2011. I've been rapping since 14. I'll be 31 Monday on the 30th.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. I honestly didn't start taking myself dead serious with my music until like 2011. I had the one group of people that, you know, I was doing stuff with down the Bank. I grew up down the Bank, Oakley District. I had that one little group of people who I was doing stuff with then, but you know, we was on some kid shit. I was serious, even though I wasn't serious. They wasn't really serious at all. They was just participating, playing with me because it was something to do. You know, I'm their homeboy. Then as I got up into my teenage years, I ended up coming with another clique of guys. These guys was a little bit more serious about it. They still weren't as serious as I was, but they were more serious. And they actually could really rap. So I went from, you know, my playground shit to like being with people who I felt like could really push me and would make me look at myself and be like, nah, I ain't got nothing going on. I gotta go back to the drawing board with this.
Right.
And I did that with them for a few years. But you know, it got to a point where I had to finally realize like, these guys don't want this. They're not as invested into this like I am. So I kind of got to a point then where I was like, okay, you gotta leave this now. And just took off on my own at that point. I always kept a laptop with me. I always kept a microphone with me. I always kept my programs. I never went and bought any studio time from anybody. I always recorded all my own music. I taught myself how to engineer myself the best that I could. I kept making beats and made myself into a producer. I just kept getting better over time. I got like millions of beats that nobody ever heard before. I got millions of beats that plenty of people didn't heard. I done gave people beats. I done sold beats. Hell, I got like 2,000-3,000 beats sitting in a stash box right now, collected from over the last 7-8 years maybe. Just sitting, just waiting on me to do something with them or sell them to somebody.
That's crazy.
It was when I finally was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm finna do my own thing. So that's when I started getting to that point the way it was like, you almost there. You almost there. I was constantly gauging I'm very self-conscious, so I'm constantly gauging myself. And I did a couple of performances when Crunch Time Sports Bar was still open on Spring Hill.
Right.
I did a couple of performances there back then, or like 2 or 3. Then I went cold again, disappeared. Didn't nobody know where I was or what was going on. Went back into recluse mode. I'm still working on my stuff though. That's when, and by this time, you know, like I had knowledge of that Piff and all the mixtape sites and everything.
Right.
So
thatpiff.com.
I had already started uploading all of my tapes and stuff, you know, then, and like trying to push it. I had the MySpace thing going on. Then when Facebook came around, started, you know, trying to push it on there like that. But nobody really was taking me serious. But this, you know, this was a new level compared to being a young dude and you just in the neighborhood fucking around with other dudes in the neighborhood. I'm like, what, 18, 19, 20 by this time? So, you know, people, when you say you're doing something at that point, people expect you to operate and perform on a certain standard before they give you that stamp to say that you do this. But me being in recluse mode, nobody ever really saw me in person. They may have seen me like online, posting a tape or, you know, talking and venting in Facebook statuses and shit like that. But nobody actually knew me personally. I dropped out of school in the 8th grade at 16 and got a GED the next school year.
Wow.
So I had already forgotten about people that was in school, and they had already forgotten about me at this point. I had completely veered off and went into a whole nother direction. I was on some self-loathing and reckless ass shit. All I wanted to do was make my music. That was the only thing I had that was keeping me going at that point. Coming from this household that I described earlier. So, you know, after so long of me knowing that my music getting better and better and better, my songs got better structure, my production getting tighter, it's getting more elaborate, more symphonic. I kind of got tired, you know, of people not taking me serious, honestly. It fucks with me. If I feel like somebody don't take me serious, that fucks with me. It made me feel like I got a point to prove. Mainly when it's something that I care about, like that. It ain't just gonna be anything. Ain't nobody just gonna get my goat on no bullshit. But in this case, this is something that, you know, mean everything to me. And the fact that nobody would take me serious in it bothers the fuck out of me. So next step in that chain. After putting out, you know, so many tapes and the reception started to come back in, the people, to put more detail into it, the people who didn't necessarily take me serious were the people who you would say win the popularity contest.
Cool kids.
You know, people who, you know, they already out moving and traveling, kind of got a name for themselves. They shake hands with people who may be established in one way or another one. So they was kind of looking at me like, yeah, you good, but you ain't popping.